We set sail from Puerto Williams in Chile, the most southerly town in the world, back to the Antarctic Peninsula, this time with a team of mountaineers. It was later in the season down in the high latitudes, so we knew we would be in for a different experience this time. Drake's Passage is often referred to as either Drake's Lake or Drake's Shake. On this crossing, it was a case of being Drake's Lake, with little wind and calm waters. It took approximately 3.5 days to cross, and our first stop was Trinity Island. Join us now as we make our way south back into the ice.
Shortly after we arrived at Trinity Island, the weather deteriorated. Low clouds and drizzle made skiing and mountaineering impracticable. In hope for better weather further south, we made our way to Paradise Harbour. With the anchor down and a shoreline over the stern, we spent the night in Scawndrop Cove.
The next morning, the weather was clear and still.
And the water in Scawndrop Cove looked like a mirror, reflecting the beautiful icy walls around us.
We set off early, releasing the line and retrieving the cable from around the rock.
Pelagic Australis carries 4 150-meter shorelines on big drums on deck. These can be attached to big boulders ashore. To prevent chafe, we loop a wire cable around the rocks and attach the line with a shackle to the cable.
Ah, I see. Let's take the cable off then. Andy here was one of the Round the World race crew in the 2017-18 FIPA Round the World race on Chris's team, Qingdao. Chris invited him to help us as our third crew member for this Antarctic expedition. Whilst Andy and I released the shoreline, Chris and the team lifted the anchor.
After we had secured the dinghy on the foredeck, Sophie navigated us out of the narrow Scawndrop Cove and into the wider Paradise Harbour. From here, we made our way towards Ferguson Channel, where we would drop off the skiers for the morning. The channel has some beautiful mountain backgrounds and plenty of picturesque icebergs floating around. And then, out of nowhere,
So a minke whale. To see our full minke whale experience and to find out more about them, we captured it all on camera. And so you can find it in our film called Sailing into Icy Waters. Shish kebab. Wow. He's going away. Okay.
After the minke whale had disappeared, we made our way to the drop-off point for the skiers. We launched the dinghy, and Sophie transferred the 6 skiers and their gear from Pelagic Australis onto a strip of bare rock at the base of a snow and ice-covered mountain. While the skiers spent the rest of the day climbing and skiing their first mountain on the Antarctic Peninsula, the rest of the team launched the kayaks to explore Ferguson Channel. Then, suddenly, the minke whale reappeared.
jumpers! I saw his eye! Here, it's going underneath. I saw his eye again. Oh my god. Okay, slightly scared. Oh my god, my heart! I'm a little bit scared. My heart rate.
After this incredible wildlife experience, we picked up the skiers and made our way to Port Lockroy, the most southerly British post office in the world.
With the weather closing in and with reduced visibility, skiing was off the table for the rest of the day. Instead, we anchored in the sheltered bay and we all went ashore.
Bento penguins formed a colony here, apparently first appearing in 1985. This colony have become familiar with people, and it is the only place they will confidently approach you to sit between your feet. It is impossible to avoid contact as you walk up to the base. But studies are carried out to ensure the presence of humans does not impact this colony.
As you walk through this tour with us, you will see it is a small and basic setup compared to the modern day Antarctic bases. It is now run by the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust since 2006. It has a small gift shop and a post office. Approximately 70,000 postcards are sent out in one season alone. The rooms included a coal bunker, as well as a stores room, there's also a kitchen, fully equipped with an aga and utensils and crockery from a time gone by. And of course their accommodation with their very own hand-painted artwork. It is incredibly atmospheric and gives you a real sense of Antarctic history. The views over the tiny island, with penguins as residents, and the mountain pinnacles looming above was breathtaking to look at through the framing of the window. Port Lockroy as a site was first discovered in 1904. In 1944, the British military set up a base here on this tiny island and operated it as a research station until 1962. It also had a dining room and a bar.
Gin, there is gin.
Yes, and the queen is here, the young queen.
Sorry.
Yeah. And Miss August is in the head.
Playmate of Mum. Miss August. She's a beauty.
Gordon's dry gin. Sehr schön.
The base also had a fully equipped communications room. And we wondered if the clock had stopped when the last scientist moved off the base. To maintain and repair the base, a fully equipped workshop is attached.
In 1996, with a purpose to preserve the scientific bases dotted around the peninsula, this base was turned into a museum.
The next morning, the dark clouds had disappeared, and the first rays of sunlight gave the mountain tops a golden glow. A good day to go skiing. We dropped off the skiers on the other side of the bay, and they started their ascent up the ice.
For this expedition, we had the British mountaineer Stephen Venables on board. In 1988, Stephen became the first British mountaineer to reach the summit of Mount Everest without bottled oxygen. Since then, Stephen has continued his mountaineering as well as taking groups into remote regions and delivering public lectures.
Stephen has also 12 gripping books published.
To find out more about Stephen, you can visit his website as well as his social media accounts.
After 2 nights in Port Lockroy, it was time to say goodbye to this beautiful anchorage, with its stunning mountain backgrounds, and we started to head further south. After we left Port Lockroy, we took a sharp left and motored down the Peltier Channel. Just a few months earlier, in December, this channel had been covered in ice, and we almost got stuck in Port Lockroy. Now, in March, most of the channels around here were ice-free, and just a few small pieces of ice were floating around.
Some local wildlife.
Next, we made our way down the scenic Le Mer Channel.
We anchored in between Pleno and Hovgard Island, nestling in between a tiny archipelago in a very tight spot and very shallow waters. This meant prior to entering the shallow depths, we needed to launch the dinghy to lead the way in, using a portable depth sounder to locate the deepest path.
Once we had found a secure anchorage and a deep enough channel to get there, we returned to Pelagic Australis, and I slowly followed the dinghy into the narrow channels and on to the anchorage. We finished the day with a short hike up the hill to watch the beautiful sunset. Join us in part 2 of this expedition, as we head further south to take a polar plunge at the Pitt Islands, and we get hit by a force 10 after visiting the Argentine Islands. We drop off our mountaineers at Anvers Island in an attempt to climb Mount Frances, while the rest of us explores the islands and anchorages on the Antarctic Peninsula. If you would like to see more of our expedition photos, please follow our Instagram accounts.